Hello, this is Brian Rowe with Mythic MTG Tech looking at Scry tips and the new Vancouver Mulligan rule. This video was requested by a fan, and it's a topic that I've actually been wanting to do for a while now. Scry is a wonderful ability, and I'm so glad that they are reevaluating the way that mulligans work. Serum Powder is one of those cards that originally made me very happy, because it showed that Wizards was aware that there are problems with mulligans. And Scry is this super intensive ability that I like because of the amount of strategy that it adds to the game. Now, a lot of people have already asked me, why is this called the Vancouver Mulligan rule? Well, it was debuted at Pro Tour Vancouver, and that's going to get lost over time as this rule really becomes a mainstay in Magic. It is the home of Loading Ready Run, although I don't think they came up with the Mulligan rule. It definitely relates to the Pro Tour. Here's the rule. I recommend reading the rule. This is a horribly written rule. It's technically precise and correct, but it's a block of text that is going to put most people asleep. I do some plain language work with rewriting both court rules and family law forms to be more readable to the general public. A block of text like this with all of these parentheses embedded on the inside is not the way to present a rule like this. I would recommend breaking it out, even having a short bulleted list. I would like to see a little flowchart that walks you through this process also. We're going to focus here on the two most important parts that have been added to this rule, though. The first is then beginning with the starting player and proceeding in turn order. You do not get to scry until every player, normally it's just going to be you and your opponent, have chosen to keep a hand. Then the first player starts and scries. There's been a little bit of concern that individuals may try to cheat this rule. They'll look at their top card and then decide whether they're actually scrying at that point or if they're still mulliganing. The rule itself directly deals with this. And if you ever see someone do that, call a judge right away. The rule is designed to be fair and not allow that to happen. The second thing is that it's a may. Any player whose opening hand has fewer cards than his starting hand may scry one. If they don't scry, they lose it. If they don't remember until gameplay has actually started, until somebody has dropped a land or drawn a card or we moved into turn 2, it's gone. Use it or lose it. If you miss this, you miss a huge opportunity to control the card that you're going to have your first turn. It could easily cost someone a game. Just to make sure we're on the same page with Scry, Scry allows you to put a card on the top or the bottom, or several cards if there's a large number next to Scry. In this case, we're always just talking about one. There's a lot more going on with this particular ability than most people realize, though. I also want to take a second here, though, and point out the difference in rule enforcement levels. At a Friday Night Magic, you should be pointing out mulligans and this new Scry rule to your opponent. The idea behind Friday Night Magic is to get new people into the game, to have a casual gaming experience. The rule enforcement level is designed to help teach players how to play the game. You're not going for those gotchas or those Pro Tour moments where somebody makes a mistake and you capitalize off that very small advantage. Friday Night Magic is not where you want to force this rule, it's where you want to teach this rule. Pro Tour qualifiers, preliminary Pro Tour qualifiers, once you're at a competitive rules level event where there's a bunch of money and high prizes on the line, then enforce this rule. If you see anything weird going on, grab a judge right away. If someone forgets it, don't point it out. Take every advantage you can. Once you get to competitive rules level enforcement, when you're at casual events, focus on teaching. When you're at competitive events, focus on taking every little advantage and learning as much as you possibly can. First big tip that I've got here is get a big die, a giant die, to put on top of your deck. Every time you draw one less card, put that die on top of your deck. Use that visual reminder to scry, to remind you to scry. I use a very small die on top of my deck for Dark Confidant. It's definitely allowed in the current interpretations of the rules, and if that ever changes, I'll let you know. But missing these type of events in a game, or triggers as it is with Dark Confidant, can cost you a game. Might as well use a visual cue to make that more likely. Next, grab a friend. Each of you bring your fastest possible decks. Sit down and play 30 games in 3-game matches with sideboard, trying to crush each other quickly. But point out to the person you're playing with that our goal here is also to always hit our scries. Don't intentionally mulligan to get extra scries, but play as you normally would, but have someone else there who will notice when you miss. We have tens of thousands of games competitively with a focus that does not include this rule. We need to create a new habit, and having someone else help you create that habit is going to allow you to create it faster. The next thing that I strongly recommend is develop a habit on how you scry. You can leak a lot of information by grabbing that top card and throwing it to the bottom, or grabbing that top card and being happy about it, or grabbing the top card and going into the think tank for a long time. Create a way that you're going to always grab that top card, look at it for X number of seconds, 2 seconds or 3 seconds, and then do with it what needs to be done. This consistency will stop your opponent from being able to gain information when you're scrying. Also, start watching your opponents as they scry. Try to figure out what you can learn from that scry. Are they still in trouble? Are they digging for an answer? Do they not have all the pieces to their combo? Or maybe they're really happy about that top card. When deciding whether or not to keep a card, look at your curve. Think about where it's going to fit into your plan. I'll do another video at some point on mana curves, but you want a 1-drop, a 2-drop, a 3-drop that all work together in a plan. Does this card fit into your plan? Yes, if you're still looking for lands, you may just need to keep a land. But if you're not looking for lands, be prepared to ship that and look for a real card. The next thing here is come up with a plan before you scry. So you just finished your mulligans, you look at your hand, you're looking at the fact that you've got one of your basics, you're playing Shardless Bug, you're missing a color, you're playing against a Blood Moon Magus of the Moon deck that you know can drop Blood Moon on turn 1. What is your plan? What card do you want to see on the top of that deck? What card do you not want to see on the top of that deck? Decide those things before you scry, and then do your 2-second or 3-second scry so that you're not giving your opponent information about whether or not you have an answer to what they're doing. Craft out your first few turns. That way when you scry and you see Abrupt Decay on top, you can decide whether or not you need to keep it there very quickly. One of the best answers to this Blood Moon plan. Think about your sequencing throughout the beginning of the game. Are you fetching right away, or are you playing a basic and hoping to fetch on turn 2? How much do you need that card that may be on top? One of my favorite things about the new Scry rule is that when you're on the play, you get to keep a card on top that you may not really want. A card that could situationally be great, or could situationally be terrible. Abrupt Decay is one of those cards. If I'm playing against counterbalance, hell yes, I want it. If I'm playing against a Storm deck, it's a lot rougher. Leave it there, put out your fetch land, and then wait to see what your opponent is playing. And then shuffle the card away if you don't need it. When playing hand destruction, if your opponent is leaking information about the quality of that first card, if it's staying on top of their deck, maybe you want to drop your Deathrite turn 1 and Thoughtseize on turn 2 when that card is in their hand. Think about the sequences and whether the information that you've been given is useful to the cards that you're actually going to play. Thank you guys. I tried to go pretty in-depth on Scry here today. Although every time I think about Scry, I think about the old Price magazine. So take a second here and look at some of the crazy old prices of beta cards. Additionally, I would love to have you as a subscriber to the channel. I'm going to be doing a lot more on the strategic side of Magic to try to help players get better at Magic. Thank you to everybody who's over there on Patreon supporting the channel. I greatly appreciate it. You are what make these videos possible. I'm going to be out at Geek Girl Con today, and I'm coming out with a vlog in the next few days where I casually talk about the next month's schedule and where I can be found out in the community. Take care. See you guys later.